Joining us at NC Continental Prime is Professor Adam Kane, the Executive Director, A.M. Kane Collegiate Resource Center. Hello, Professor Kane, and thank you for joining us on the news. Now,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi.
I don't know if you saw the account, that eyewitness account we just played. The young man was describing that people were actually there with knives and machetes to attack the worshippers, which triggered the stampede. In your opinion, is this a random incident or a well-planned attack?
Well, I will not say that is well planned. I think the situation in Liberia is beyond just being well planned. I think we have a crisis on hand at the moment, and the crisis is that we have an addiction epidemic in Liberia that has not been dealt with appropriately. And as a result, there is this national fear that has been instigated. And so as a result, just hearing words of mouth can even instigate fear in people. And I think some of those, or what happened, may have contributed to that. But we have a bigger problem than just a plan, an attack. I think we have a national problem, and that is addiction problem. We have so many young people who are addicted in the street, and they will do anything in their to continue their habit. So those are some of the major problems we are faced with in Liberia at the moment.
Has there been any updates on arrests and the investigation to apprehend those involved? Is there any chance that anyone will be held responsible for the stampede?
Well, few police officers, I think, out of the head of the police just spoke today, but it is alleged again because we have not, investigation is still ongoing, so we have not had full detail relative to whether someone was arrested. But there are words out in the media that says that one person was arrested who held a knife in his hand during the incident, but that is alleged. It hasn't been fully reported yet, but the police chief has just announced that they will make sure that those who did whatever be brought to justice. And so we have not had any arrests at the moment that I know of, and that has been announced by the police chief.
Something similar like this happened in November 2021, and 2 infants were killed and several others were hospitalized. You just alluded to the fact that there is a bigger problem to this situation of people being addicted and trying to, fund their habit. Is there something that you've noticed that the government is doing to address this underlying problem you highlighted?
Well, as you know, Liberia just from a civil war, so 2 civil wars and Ebola and what have you. So Liberia is still at the struggle stage trying to bring out intervention, but there's a conversation that has been discussed but has not been put into effect. One of the things that we find in Liberia is that people are single-handedly trying to solve the addiction problem in Liberia, which we have proposed that do really not work. It doesn't work to have a single agency trying to do addiction respond. And so we have suggested that there needs to be a more empirical evidence and empirical approach in solving the addiction problem. So the government is still struggling relative to how this will come about. So even the international community, there are a lot of grants out there so that people can come up with the most elite or most evidence-based practice to solve the problem. But what they are doing right now is just re-traumatizing people who already been traumatized. So in most cases, they will take people who are going through addiction, which is a brain disease, and put them in jail, take them and put them in institution and alienate them, ostracize them, which I think is like re-traumatizing people. And so we are trying to come up with the best solution, and we are making suggestions to the government. We just started a campaign to bring out intervention that are empirically driven and culturally contextual to help solve the addiction problem in Liberia.
You talk about empirical approach. Is there any on the table? And could you give us a glimpse as to what it will entail?
Well, the most highly used empirical evidence that is used is the treatment facilities where people struggling with addiction are placed in the institutions. And for those of us who are expert in the field, we think those are also intervention that really don't work, because if you put people in who are experiencing addiction into institution where they almost like in prison, it's like re-traumatizing them. And so one of the things our center has done is trying to formulate something that works contextually with the Liberian context. And so what we have designed as an institution, the EM Collegiate Resource Center, first was to solve the gap. And the first gap is to make sure that a single institution is not responding to the addiction. And so what we've done, we've brought together over 30 organizations to collaborate to form an alliance in solving the problem, especially according to when it comes to addiction in Liberia. And so we just formed an alliance, and just coincidentally, we predicted that if Liberia or the government or other institutions do not respond to the addiction crisis in Liberia, obviously these things will happen, and it didn't take long to happen. And so we have filled out one of the gaps, that is trying to bring collaboration together to respond to addiction. And the second gap, as I indicated, is that the residential treatment is not working in Liberia. So as an institution, we have strategized means to, first of all, train people in our collaboration. About 500 people, we engaged them in an intense training to understand the signs of addiction. We are arguing, people don't know in Africa, even in Liberia, that addiction is a brain disease. So the fact that we do not imprison people with diabetes, we do not imprison people with cancer, we do not imprison people with HIV and AIDS. So we should not imprison our brothers and sisters who are struggling with addiction. Rather, we find a treatment to help us.
In the interest of time, I need to interject and quickly ask you, while we're waiting for the long-term solution to the underlying problem, there is something that Judge Weah, the president, talked about, and that's regulations that should be put in place to ensure that services like the crusade are better organized. What's your thinking there? If you can, give us in about 30 seconds, that would be great.
Well, these regulations can be put in place. Like I told you that Liberia has a bigger problem than regulation. So we can put in the regulation if people are still being afraid that when they come out of those crusade space, there are people who are addictive out there, we call Zobos in the country, that will terrorize them to take their cell phone or take away valuables. Those situations will still occur. We still have events where these things will happen. So it is beyond just a regulation.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Adam Kane of the Kane Collegiate Resource Center. Thank you very much for speaking with us.